All right, we are live. All right, you guys ready?
Do it.
All right, let's do it. Let's do this.
Let's go for it.
What's up, everybody? We are live. Welcome to another session of the Cover Cloud Podcast. You guys already know I am Will. I'm the host of this show, number one Polynesian podcast in the world. Oh, let's get it on. We have a great show for you guys, and we have a great topic to discuss for you guys. As you guys can see, we have a full panel of guests from all around the world. We have a great show for you guys. Thank you so much. I see the viewership going up right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're tuning in for the very first time, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you taking the time to be on here. We have a great show planned out for you guys and great discussions. And of course, to all my subscribers out there, people to follow my channel, people that always send me positive feedback and always send me their feedback based on the content and the topics that we discussed. Thank you so much, all you guys out there. You guys already know what to do. If you appreciate the content, appreciate the platform, smash and press that like and subscribe button real quick. And don't forget, we do have a live chat, so definitely get that live chat going. You guys always appreciate you guys always tuning in every single week on my weekly Wednesday show where we have where we discuss hot topics, taboos, and culture. So always appreciate your feedback. You guys already know what to do. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know your feedback, and let me know your perspectives based on the topic that we're going to discuss tonight, and especially what our great guests and panel of guests are going to share tonight. Don't forget, I do have a disclaimer real quickly for everybody out there under the age of 18.
This content is not suitable for the children under the age of 18 without adult supervision. Please be advised.
Shout out to Savage, but yeah, just be advised under the age of 18, just to make sure you understand you need some adult supervision, or just go to sleep. All right. Don't forget, this is a public show, so if you guys want to jump on, obviously there was a lot of people that hit me up on my different social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook that they wanted to jump on. So if you're watching this right now, I will post the public link on the live chat. You guys can jump on and be part of the conversation. So if you're not familiar with my content, I do allow the audience to be part of the conversation. So if you're watching this right now and you want to be part of the podcast as well and be part of the live, I'm going to post the public link on YouTube. So if you're watching this from Facebook, if you're watching this from Twitch, you have to come to YouTube and go to the live chat on YouTube. Click on look at the. I'm gonna pin it to the top of the screen. Click on it, and you can be part of the conversation and be part of the podcast as well. But don't forget the super chat donations. I appreciate you guys always supporting me financially with your pockets. Always donating to my channel. You guys already know every single donation, financial donation, will be reinvested back to my content to give you guys better quality content. Of course, launching my podcast studio. I'll be launching by the end of this year, where I'll be having real live podcast in studio. So everything's dedicated towards that. So if you support the platform, you support my dream, and I'm manifesting my dreams every single day. Drop a super chat, and the best way to do that is ask it through a question, ask it through a topic. So if you have a specific question that you guys want to bring up for us to discuss as a panel, or if you have a specific question that you guys want to ask directly to one of the guests, ask it through a super chat. I'll definitely make it a priority. I'll put it on the top of the screen. I'll read it out, and of course, give you a shout out to reciprocate your financial donation support to my channel. So thank you so much for all you guys out there. Much love to you guys. And of course, don't forget, everybody, I do know there's a lot of people out there that disagree with my views. A lot of people out there that may hate me. A lot of people out there triggered by my content.
Silly man, don't be a hater. Be a player. Congratulator.
All right, so all my haters out there, like I said, I highly encourage you to come on. So everybody out there, they may disagree. They may not like my views. They may not, they don't like my channel. I create a space where we can have open conversations, especially when it comes to these topics, the things that we usually disagree on, especially the topics that affects us as a community. It's not one of the, when we talk about, if you guys tune in on Wednesday, we always have different conversations of topics that sometimes may be considered taboo, sometimes may be considered forbidden to talk about. But these topics that we talk about, it's always going to be a hard conversation to have because we have different views on it. Depending if it's very sensitive, but usually these topics that we discuss has a big, it's a reality that happens that affects all of us. So like I said, I have my views on it, especially all my panel of guests, they have their views. But if you are listening to this right now and you disagree with a lot of things I say, if you feel some type of way, I encourage you to come on and let's have an open, respectable conversation of why you disagree with my view, and let's talk about it. Regardless, at the end of the day, I still love everybody out there, whether you disagree. Me personally, I just don't believe having a different opinion is a reason to disagree, to hate somebody, but everybody to each their own. But like I said, if you are If you disagree with something, please come on. We appreciate you to come on here. But nevertheless, anyone that wants to jump on, you can always jump on and be part of the conversation as well. But regardless, that's pretty much all my YouTube stuff. Thank you so much for everybody out there. We have a great show for you guys tonight. We have a great topic to discuss tonight. But first and foremost, I just want to say to all my guests, thank you so much for taking the time, be part of the conversation. You guys are all different parts of the world, living your own life and doing things for yourself. And I just appreciate taking the time and energy to be here and have a great discussion tonight. But first and foremost, I know a lot of people watching this right now, they may not know who you are. So if you guys can go ahead and give yourselves a quick introduction to everybody out there. I'll first start off with you. Monica, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, my name is Monica. Last name. I was on here last week, so into public health, work for the PH in San Francisco. I'm a project coordinator in nonprofit called Dilemma, which deals with outreaching to Pacific Islanders on health issues, getting them educated on that. Yeah.
All right. All right, no worries. Monica, I think your audio is kind of low a little bit, so I don't know if you can make a adjustment. But yeah, it is kind of low. I didn't really hear a lot, but yeah,
go to the next person. I'll adjust it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. All right. Thank you, Monica. I see Segment already tuning in right now. Segment said, I'm glad I didn't miss this. Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, Segment. I appreciate you. And shout out to you. I think that's the first time I've seen you on the live show. So thank you, Segment, for being on here and already watching. And I can see the viewership going up. And don't forget, like and subscribe, y'all. If you love the content, press that like button, man. Don't be a ninja watcher, man. Or how big if you elo. Press that like button. Press that like button. All right. But nevertheless, I'll pass it on to you. Siaosi, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, you're on mute, Siaosi.
How's it going, everybody? Siaosi Langi, born and raised in Tonga, little town called Kolonga. I moved up here about 6 years now. Truly love these podcasts. I'm happy to be here. Happy to throw in some input. I really love health and fitness. It's one of my favorite things to do in an everyday life. Especially, this is a good topic that we can talk about that could help our Polynesian community overall. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm grateful for Will for doing this, gathering all our Polynesian community together so we can share our inputs. Hopefully, it will inspire and help our younger generation or anybody watching, so they can be able to, make some life changes or tune in and help us with this cause. So yeah. Thank you.
All right, no worries. And Segment says hi. All right, so Siaosi, always appreciate you being part of the podcast. And yeah, if you want to get some good health and fitness content, definitely follow Siaosi. Definitely the person I want to look like one day. All right, thank you, Siaosi. I always appreciate you here. I will pass it on to Heta. Heta, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Malo Lele, everyone. Hello, everybody. I am. Let's see. I used to live in Louisiana for the past 14 years, but moved over here to Jacksonville, Florida. Relocated here. I'm a senior business consultant for EY, Ernst & Young, and actually love this topic. I believe it's a necessity just to be healthy, and I'm 54 and still doing CrossFit, so functional fitness. I one of the things I love. So glad to be here and thank you for inviting me.
Of course, no worries. Thank you, Heta. All right, and definitely she has really good self-improvement content as well. If you want self-growth, self-improvement, definitely check out her channel. And yeah, I see your content, Heta. You're still going strong, Heta. I see you going strong, killing it in the weight room. So Thank you so much, Heta, for taking time. I appreciate you. And I see you, DOOBL4L, second time here. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. I remember you the first time, but now you came back for the second time on the show. Thank you so much. And I see Northwest Stacker, Malo. Hey, man, what's up, man? Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much for tuning in, Toko. Appreciate you for here on the live show for the first time. Shout out to you. Yeah, we'll move on to the next guest. I'll move it on to Leesah. Leesah, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Okay, hey you guys, my name is Leesah Havili. I'm from the Bay Area. This is the second time on here, and I'm excited to be here. I'm a wife, a mother. I'm a mental health advocate, as well as a body positivity advocate. So I'm excited to talk about this today, and I'm excited to be with you guys all. So thank you.
All right, no worries, no worries. Leesah, thank you so much for being part of this podcast. And if you're watching this right now, you probably get recognized. If you have TikTok, you probably get recognized. Leesah, she's going viral right now on TikTok. So Leesah, appreciate you. Always appreciate you in the conversation right now. Thank you so much.
Something's going on with my technology.
It's okay. It's okay. All right. But nevertheless, last but not least, all the way from New Zealand. And Diobel just posted a comment. Can everyone drop their Instagrams? Hey, I'll post all the social media information on the bottom of the description on the description below, so that way you can follow all of them. So I got you, DOB by 4L. But last but not least, Taniela, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, malo lere, siadofa to everyone on the panel and anyone else watching from the internet. My name is Taniela, and I'm currently tuning in from New Zealand. In the past 10, 12 years, I've been in the construction sector over here. And I'd like to say officially that my job description was a construction manager, but I think that the last 7 years have sort of proved otherwise, in the sense that vast majority of the things that I've done and strategies that I've employed in the my time span in the sector is all about mental health, especially men's mental health, improving in performance, efficiency, which is surprisingly we don't put two and two together. You know, in order to improve human beings' performance and efficiency, you have to deal with their mental health. And a vast approach of the things we do in terms of mental health is always peer-to-peer. We don't look at the person and improve and upskill interpersonal stuff, which is where I'm coming from. And health has always been a big part of what I do in terms of encouraging people to find better ways of living their lifestyle. And not only that, going to see your doctor for a baseline, especially for men. You know, you won't understand the way you react to certain events unless you know your body. And if you optimize your body, you optimize your brain, you optimize your capabilities and all the good things that comes with it. So yeah, I'm happy to be part of this podcast, and I'm happy to get into a talanoa with all of you here with me on the panel. So thanks for having me again, Will.
No worries, no worries. Thank you so much, Taniela. Always appreciate you on the show. Thank you so much. And I see Anela Jr. I mean at Hawaii. First time I've seen you all the way from Facebook. What's up, folks? Hey, what's up, man? Thank you so much, Anela Jr. Thank you for tuning in. A shout out to you. Being show for the first time. Thank you so much. Hey, we have a great show. We have a great discussion for you. So definitely tune in, and definitely, and don't forget, guys. Press that like, subscribe button real quick, and of course, I'm gonna post the public link real quick. I'm gonna post it on the YouTube live. So if any of you guys are watching this right now, you guys want to be part of the conversation, I invite you guys to come on and be part of the conversation as well. But yes, nevertheless, let's get right into it. You guys already know what the topic that we're gonna discuss tonight. The topic is we're gonna talk about obesity. You know, obesity is killing Pacific Islanders. Why do we accept it in our culture? All right. So before I pass it on to Monica, just to give some some fact, she's gonna share some scientific data and facts about the obesity rate statistics within the Pacific Islander community. I know I posted this topic earlier on Monday. I always post a promotional video for the podcast, and obviously I did receive a lot of pushback and a lot of pushback from a lot of people because they were saying a lot of people were saying to me, you shouldn't talk about obesity. because if you talk about obesity, for a lot of people, it might come off that we're shaming people who are fat and obese. So first and foremost, I just want to make it clear for everybody that's watching today that I want to make sure everybody understands that when we talk about this difficult topic that affects not only hundreds of thousands within our community, but also millions of people and billions of people in the world. I just want to make sure that we're not discussing it to shame anybody. I just want to make sure everybody's clear. We're talking about it just from a healthy lifestyle standpoint and a biological standpoint to make sure that people live a healthy lifestyle and they can live long term for their kids, for their family, and for their future. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that the whole purpose of this is to figure out solutions within our community to improve our health. But I know it is a sensitive topic for people out there who are obese or overweight. And sometimes if they don't view the content or they just see a clip of something I post, sometimes when people view that we're attacking them with their weight. But that's not the intention. The intention is to help people out there and figure out solutions for our community. Because obviously all of us on this panel are Pacific Islanders. And for me, one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to talk about this topic, because I see this every single day. I see I see young people in our community dying early because of obesity issues, because of heart disease, chronic diseases. And I'm talking about people in their 20s. I'm talking about people in their 30s, people in their 40s. So we are starting to see a whole generation of our Pacific Islander people that are dying at a really young age. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this topic is a lot of people that know my story. I used to play for City College of San Francisco. I played football over there, and then I played defensive line. So all the defensive linemen in my football team we were all Pacific Islander. Today, that was around 2010, 2011. Today in 2022, half of my friends that we played football together at City College have passed away because of obesity. So half of my friends I played football with were defensive linemen. They're no longer here anymore, and most of them had kids. So the biggest issue for me is a lot of times when Pacific Islanders don't take care of their health and they pass away, they oftentimes leave kids behind. And we all know that if you know me, you all know the statistics. When kids grow up without a single parent household or no parent household, that affects them in their development stage as far as their quality of life is going up. So I just want to make sure that people understand that's my intention. That's why I'm very passionate and I want to bring up this topic. I just want to make sure people understand that this is something that I see and I deal with not only with me personally in my real life, something that we see in our community all the time. And for me, like I said, I want to figure out a solution, and we have a great panel of guests to discuss this. But I just want to make sure everybody that's watching this right now that when we have these discussions, it's not to shame people who are obese, it's not to shame people who are fat. It's to discuss a solution to change these things, because there are consequences to our people when they don't take care of their health, but not only with them, but it also affects the people around them, their kids, the family, the people they're responsible for. This is a must topic of discussion to have. So I just want to make sure that it's clear for everybody out there that this is not to shame anybody, but we're going to have some good conversations tonight. But also, at the end of the day, we are Pacific Islander. This is a Pacific Islander podcast. We're going to have our Pacific Islander jokes here and there on this podcast, because that's who we are. But we're going to have a discussion and a real life discussion tonight. So I just want to throw it out there for everybody out there. Thank you so much. And for everybody that's watching this right now, definitely for tuning in. But yeah, I'm gonna pass it on to Monica. I know Monica has a lot of information. She does a lot of nonprofit work with the Pacific Islander community to help them when it comes as far as chronic diseases and health and obesity. So she's gonna share a lot of information and statistics and data for information that a lot of Pacific Islander people should know that she has discussed with me. And I think this is information that's really important for people to know. So not only to know the statistics and the data, and then the science behind it. So I'll pass it on to you, Monica, and you can take it. You can take it. Go ahead.
Right on, board. So obesity really is defined as a BMI, and a BMI is body mass index that is over or higher than 30%, right? And so, with that being said, just kind of like looking around us and like, observing our surroundings right now, especially in the U.S., I'm sure that everybody has seen a lot of people that are under a certain age, which is like 40, die like out of nowhere. And like all of a sudden, like EPV films it and it's on like everybody's social media. And so I don't have any, I'm all about body positivity. And I think that, um, this is my opinion. I think that any woman, any man is beautiful at whatever size, right? Um, and it just depends on how you perceive them. So I'm not really going to speak about the whole beauty thing and the whole, because that's like irrelevant to what I'm going to be speaking about. But just to kind of top it off there, I do want to talk about a source that everybody can go to that's like a public source. So, if you have questions about like, hey, where am are Pacific Islanders in, in like a health disparity aspect, right? You can always go to CDC, which is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And it's really easy. You can just go to Google and press CDC. And once you do that, you can just put in Native, Hawaiian, or Pacific Islanders. Unfortunately, you could put in Tongan, you could put in Samoan, you could put in Fijian and whatnot, but it's actually in the government's eye, they see us as Native, Hawaiian, or Pacific Islander. So if you're ever going to kind of search for something that's like going to give you more information about stats within our community, that's what you're going to have to use. I use CDC mainly because it's easy. And it's accessible for everybody, but more so, with certain like places like NIH, which is the National Institution of Health, there are certain like articles that you'll have to pay for, and they use a lot of like big words, right? And so like big words are great if you're into that, but if you're not into that, the best bet is to check out CDC, so you can see for yourself, right? So I do want to go over some interesting stuff. Besides CDC, there's also minorityhealth.hhs.gov, which is a really great resource for any Pacific Islander to kind of check on, what's our stats like, what does it look like? What does our chronic conditions look like in the US, right? When I went ahead and did that, I got some information that is a little backdated, but it's kind of okay for us where we stand, because we have to understand we're at a 0.1, 0.2% rate in the US. So a lot of the times we don't have a lot of nonprofits that support, getting stats out there. Like we do, but we also don't. And so just to top that off, I am actually interested in reading you something. So it looks like Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders were 80% more likely to be obese, more than whites in the US in 2016. That's a really high percentage, because the percentage of whites in the US is like 70%, right? So if we're at 80% and we're only like 0.1, that means it's really high, right? Now that's from 2016. We're in 2022. And I'm not too sure of the current set right now, but I'm pretty sure it's an increase. As far as people that are 18 years and over, who are obese and the BMI was greater than 30%, kind of what I mentioned earlier. For NHPIs, which are us, right, it's at 51.7%. And for, whites, it's at 28.7, right? And of course, as Pacific Islanders, we'd be like, oh, they're white, so we're bigger. And in a sense, that's right. They're right in stature. But that's a really high number. And And so just to top that off, we'll go over leading causes of death in males for Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders. It's actually heart disease. And so heart disease is somewhat linked to obesity in a really big way, right? So a lot of the men that are native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, which is us, die at a 25.9% rate, right? Cancer, it's 18.9. And it's kind of crazy because surprisingly for females that are, Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, we actually die from cancer at a 25.5% rate in comparison to heart disease, which is at a 20.5% rate. And so, the stats are there. I urge you to go on CDC and check it out yourself, just so you have an understanding of what it is we're talking about. One thing I do know is there's a lot of things that will lie, but numbers never lie. And so these are just really interesting numbers to go over. Even if you feel like, this is a little boring and I don't want to hear this, I get it. But I urge you to go on to CDC. It's real easy. Just type CDC. Also, I just send the stats, so the stats will be there. And probably later on during the discussion, I'll bring up some other interesting tips. There is also the Pacific Islander Health Study here, which is a book. You can also go online. It's online as well. And so this gives you more stats on like Pacific Islanders and health disparities within the Bay Area and LA. And that's from 2017. So it's a little bit more current. So I think that's all I'm going to share right now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. No worries. Thank you so much, Monica, for the statistics, for sharing that. I know a lot of times a lot of people don't know the statistics as well. And I don't know if you can, Monica, can you post that on the live chat, and so that way people can click on it and do their own research. I think I know a lot of times Pacific Islanders, we don't really do a lot of research to make sure that we get the information. We kind of just listen to the media or listen to anybody, and we don't really take the time, that responsibility. So I urge everybody, regardless of the information, especially when it comes to your diet, to the amount of food you put in, the supplements you put in, you should always do your due diligence and do your research, and then don't just take the word of people you see on social media or videos of people out there. You have to know what you're putting into your body, and also you have to understand your genetics, your bloodline, and your blood work. And also, I think Taniela said, go to a doctor and get checked up to understand what's going on with your body. But I know a lot of times as Islanders, we just think, we're just strong, we're just strong people, warriors from the islands. Nothing can phase us. Nothing can put this warrior down, and then you get fat, get obese, and then unfortunately the consequences hit you. So please do your research.
I also think that just to piggyback off of that, I also think that it's somewhat the environment that we're in. Even though I know that a lot of times, people have different opinions about that. You have to control your environment because your environment's not going to change for you, which is true in a sense, right? But there are a lot of Pacific Islanders that have food insecurity, or that are not educated on the fact that because we're such indigenous folks and indigenous people, the amount of sugar or that you're ingesting in your body, it really is a sugar. It's not really anything else. And so there's just a lot of different things that are going on. But the stats that I did send you, there is on YouTube, it's called, Is a Calorie Really a Calorie? And it's like a Stanford-based study, right? And it does mention that a lot of minorities, like people from indigenous backgrounds, we don't actually have specific enzymes that allow us to process sugars or process sugars that we have here in the US. as well as other folks, right? And this goes for Blacks, Latinos as well, right? Because we're all kind of in the same thing where our ancestors really lived off the land, right? And so to be mindful about that is a great thing. And I know that reading is like whatever. There's YouTube, but if you're gonna go on YouTube, check that out, and you'll kind of hear some really interesting things.
All right, no worries. All right, thank you so much for sharing that, Monica. I see some people on the live chat. Underground Rose, thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you being on here. As you said, it's easy to become obese in the U.S. with access to cheap food. Exactly, exactly. That's why you say you have to learn. You have to take the time as business owners to learn and do the research and understand nutrition, understand healthy foods, how that affects your body. You definitely got to do your research. And I think Joel said, warriors till the gout kick in. Oh well, oh not the gout, man. I know, man. But we're strong warriors until, yeah. Like, unfortunately, the consequences of the hitting, the reality hits in, and then it affects you. So thank you so much for everybody. I see you guys. I appreciate you guys. Let me definitely keep giving us your feedback on the live chat. We'll definitely pass it on. Pass on to you, Heta. Heta, what's your thoughts about it? Because obesity is killing our people, but how come that has become the norm and we just accept it in our culture?
Yeah, this topic is close to my heart because I last year I lost a niece. She was in her 30s. She left two kids behind, but she was truly obese. I mean, I believe she was over 400 pounds, very young. Um, and so, and then I have a few other nieces and nephews that are overweight as well, and it's danger to their health, right? When we are young, we don't think like that. Our attitude is very different. We feel like we're going to live forever. um, but this is truly going back to what Monica was saying and Daniela said earlier. We need to educate ourselves about how food impacts our lives, right? And after I say that because I really started, my husband and I were overweight. I mean, I was overweight after I had my son. um, I've been overweight for the past, over 20 something years until I started the journey, the health journey, right? We started just trying paleo because we were the paleo diet, which paleo really is what our forefathers, we grew up in Tonga, right? We ate one big meal a day. I mean, and then it's kind of like intermittent fasting, right? All of those things are there. Um, but I think what one of the things is our attitude. How, when we have our kids, do we want to be around for our kids? It has to do with a lifestyle change. uh and continuing making exercise, because no matter how much you exercise, you cannot, you know out exercise bad diet, period. That's the bottom line. I am, like I said, I'm 54. I still go to the gym, I still deadlift 275. I have dropped back my weight, back squat 275. And it's not like to say I'm Tongan, it's for me to be able to function daily. We moved here to Jacksonville. We live in a third floor apartment. We have a 14-year-old pug who is about 40 pounds. Thanks to Farmer's Walk, I'm able to like just carry him up and down, 3, 4 times a day. Um, but it's a matter of us just, because I can relate with people who are overweight because I was at that point. I got to the point where of like I call it the no return, right? So I was like, this is too hard. I'm not going to do this. And it takes a lot of different things. You need somebody to have accountability, for you to do that. But I see it. It's like the no. I come and I see our people. It's like the norm now. The kids or even the little ones are obese. And the parents are obese, and it's not in I think we need to relook at the way our culture is, and we do, our foods is true, processed food is filled with sugar, period. I'm into gut health. I've been on these products for like since 2016, and I stay healthy. I don't even go to the doctor. I stay healthy this whole time. I never got COVID, but it's because, like I said, it started with changing our diet and slowly learning about the food and what the food does to the body. I had an first cousin that passed away, and she wasn't even 50 from cancer. Going back to what Monica said, it's true, because when our cancer adapts to the liver, when there's too much sugar in the gut, candida, yeast, there's good bacteria and bad bacteria. When you have bad yeast in the gut, cancer can adapt to that, easily adapted. And I see it, but some of my what I've noticed too is like, do we just, I notice in young people after they get married, and it's just like, being it's having a kids, and it's like they let go of their lives, you know they think it's stop. Okay, I'm a parent now, I'm allowed to be, you know overweight. For me, I consider myself, I'm overweight because I'm over 200 pounds, but I still, commit my life to 5 days a week working out and trying to at least eat healthy 5 days a week. I leave my sweets to like the Saturdays, try to eat my junk food on that day and Sunday, but it's a matter of discipline. It's a lot of different things that will help you support. You got to have accountability. You got to have both people over there that want to go on the same journey. It's a lot of different things that would help a person keep moving forward. I think it's a long journey. And I think a lot of it, well, forget social media. Don't look at social media because all of those are fake, right? It's sometimes if we switch the attitude from how do I look, instead of worrying about that scale and keep looking in the mirror, to how you feel emotionally, mentally, because workout just helps with our endorphins go up, just mentally sharp, if anything, all of those things. I think, um, but like I said, I've noticed like that we accept it as little kids. I notice they're obese. Even the parent, those kids, we raise them up and they struggle through their lives because they're already obese. Um, I don't know. It's just kind of, that's my point.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that, Heta Malopito. And yeah, I think you said something that was very profound. The kids today are already obese. I see kids today now are 2, 3 years old already obese already. It's crazy, and it's becoming a normal thing now. And I see that also. And just wanna, I think give a shout out to you, Heta. You said that you had a kid and you went 20 years and you were overweight and you started around in your 50s. So for everybody out there that's watching this right now and say, you know what, I'm 20, I'm 30, I'm 40, I have kids. There's no excuse. There is no excuse. You can really start today. Start small. Start a health out plan. Start a workout plan. If Heta can do it at 50 years old and restart her health life and journey and become a better person, there's absolutely no excuse out there for anybody out there to improve their health. You just gotta start small and work your way up. Thank you so much, Heta, for sharing it. I know Northwest Stacker said, this is new to us and our people. I believe with these conversations and information on the internet, the next generation will break the chain. Thank you so much, Northwest Stacker. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate you guys. And thank you so much for everybody in the live chat. Smash that, press the like, subscribe button real quick. And don't forget, I posted the public link. Drop on if you guys want to add on the conversation. I want to hear you guys what you want to add on to the conversation, especially the people that disagree. So people that disagree, they think that obesity is great, obesity is wrong. We should leave it as it is. I want to hear from you guys. I want to talk. I want to talk to you. But anyways, let me pass it on to Siaosi. Siaosi, man. And what do you think about this topic?
I think this is an important topic. Thank you, Heta, for enlightening us on like some of the journey you have gone through that helped. A little over 3 years ago, I wasn't even overweight. It was just something that I observe. I go to a lot of functions out here. Um, I'm from a big family here in Utah, and I've noticed the gout. I noticed the struggle, not so much of the women, but for the men. All my uncles, cousins, everybody's some kind of pain. And coming a boy coming from Tonga, I hardly used to hear that back home, or the conversation about, oh, my gout is flaring up, or the conversation, oh man, I have high blood pressure, or all that kind of conversation. It was new for me. But coming here to the States, I started hearing it a lot more. So I just noticed that that was like a common conversation, but it's now becoming, let's just say, it's like a joke for amongst just men. And I started researching, and I just thought to myself, like, I don't want to go through the same process that all my uncles are going through, or all my cousins are going through. So I remember asking an older lady, a Tonga lady here in the States. Her name is Emma, last name Fatani. She was pushing about, I think at the time, 101. And it was just a normal conversation that they were having with her. She was a lot older, and one of the question I pop up to ask her was, Emma, what's the secret for you to live longer? And one of the things that she said was like, you know what, Siaosi? I grew up in Hawaii, small little town. I can tell you this. Once a year growing up, I had beef. Maybe once or twice a year, I have chicken. But every meal was all straight from the fish, from the ocean, straight from like the plantation, straight from like all natural. It got me the idea of like researching all our food from the islands after hearing her say that. Like, if that's the secret, then like, you know, so after listening to her, I kind of realized that, like, yeah, of course, when we grew up in the islands, we eat like pele, like lu, we eat manioke, yam, sweet potato, all the natural things that like the body really needs, that made us strong and warriors, right? So our body is so used to it. And I also realized that when we and this is just my theory, when we move out here in the States, um the Americans, their body is made to process starch food and sugar. Our body is not. So when we come out here and start consuming a lot of these food here in the States, because it's easy, you can, instead of cooking, you can drive to McDonald's, grab you a Big Mac, and that's why I think the change is like we're consuming a lot more because it's tasty here in the back in the island. I remember I used to complain when my mom would hifi dangoa and just throw it to us to eat. But we don't have that here because like now I can run to like McDonald's and buy me a meal. And I think that the change of environment, I heard that before, kind of it didn't help with our change as well too, because when we moved here to overseas, we start consuming a lot more, and that's why our people are gaining a lot more weight, I would say. So I have always wanted to like share with people that, like, look, all we need to do is introduce your body to the normal diet that we have grown up to know, and that's just my, what I, because like it's hard because we're just robbing ourselves of a lot of opportunities to have fun with our families instead of like being hurt because our gout is flaring up. Have more time to spend. My father, bless him, he passed 2 years ago, and it was only like 56 when he passed, and it was from a heart attack, and it was surprising, but and I looking back, it was just like the diet, the health wasn't there. because we're so focused on a lot of other things instead of focusing on the one thing that we can basically control that would provide us with more joy and happiness in the long run, you know. So I love working out. I love being active. I live a very, very active lifestyle here. If I hate being inside my house. I'm always out doing something, yard work. I do iate every day of the week besides Sunday, because and I play sports. I play rugby. I play Australian footy. So I'm just like very active. I play volleyball twice a week. Pickleball when I can, when I get home. So it's just like the things that growing up in the islands, we work, but there's a time in like the day that we go out and play. You remember that volleyball or male male in the evenings every single day. But we had just forgotten that because when we come out here, I rather sit. Kids nowadays rather sit and play video game than actually, go out there and throw the ball around and or find some kind of active sports. But this is a good topic because I feel like we need to help, so that our community don't go through a lot of this. For me, mostly, it's because I it's sad in me that I'm seeing a lot of younger guys going through a lot of health issues because they don't take care of their body. They don't take care of their diet. They don't take care because looking a lot of my friends are here are going through a lot of this. They have 4 or 5 kids, and like they're already struggling health wise, and then like it's not a good thing when you're unhealthy. You're robbing an opportunity that you can be able to live long enough to see your kids or even grandkids. You're robbing an opportunity where you can spend time and play and do the active sports that like your kids want to get involved with, but also like with your family, with your friends and so forth, like anything. Like for me, I still healthy. And one of the things that I think everybody touched base on before is mental health. One of the things that I like to like stay healthy early in the morning, go to a workout or do something active is for my mental health purpose. Because I feel like, if you're in the gym conquering something tough, I know that I can conquer anything throughout the day. I can easily conquer. That's like for me is my reason for working out is to keep my mental health in check. But yeah, totally I agree that this topic should be a topic that we can come together to help each other find ways or have thoughts that could be able to help our community get away from being obese.
No worries. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Siaosi.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think yeah, you said that your dad passed away at 56. That's one thing I do notice. I know Monica has a stat. I think Monica, based on the last statistics and research was done, like the life expectancy for survivors is at 65.
Yeah, but
That's
I would say it's 60 or 65. But I honestly can say that it's probably 60 because like a lot of just through observation, but it was 65 and that was like back in 2017. So this is that's like over a 4-year span, right? And I can testify for that because my father died at 58. So, it's getting a lot less.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
that it's for men actually, heart disease is whole different from cancer because once it stops, it stops. And like I know, like even I have a cousin that was 27 and his heart just stopped. And he was like a fit poly, right? So just to bring it out there, just because you look a certain way does not necessarily mean that you are healthy, right? Because um, his behaviors, was the same. It was an American behavior. It was, ingesting, fast food and all this other stuff, right? Also, There's heart disease in our family. So that was another factor, right? But that's very young, right?
Yeah.
And then also to be fit and to be a man, right? So what I'm saying is like these stats they're not lying.
Yeah, I just brought it up because it's 65 for us, but I think the national average in America is like 78 for men and 81 for women. So we're like
Right.
a decade or almost a decade less than the average person. So that's
And
pretty significant. That should be alarming. That should be alarming for everybody out there that we are
it
dying
is.
younger
I
than the
think
average.
that we have to look at a lot of what's going on. It has a lot to do with low income. It has a lot to do with family size. It has a lot to do with obligation. It has a lot to do with a lot of things, right? Um, and so, if we're a little bit more conscious about it, we can kind of see what's going on in a sense, right? Especially when you go to the doctor. If you're a Pacific Islander or any person of color, you automatically to them, despite or whatever, if you're overweight or not, you are strong looking, right? So when you go to the doctor and you tell them that you're not feeling well, they really might just diagnose you, depending on your insurance, right? So, wherever you work, where, so, and let's be real, most of us work certain jobs that don't have good insurance, right? So you might go in there and you might get screened for, liver issues or heart disease and stuff, right? And they actually might not even do that for you entirely based on your insurance, right? So now you're left out in the cold, and then now you don't know what you have. Hence the reason why a lot of Pacific Islanders have died through COVID, right? Not necessarily because of anything else besides the fact that they did not know they had a chronic disease and passed away, right? Because I think for most of us, if you didn't have a chronic disease, you'll get COVID, you'll survive, right? But if you did have a chronic disease, now you have an issue. Well, the facts are is most Pacific Islanders were not aware they had a chronic disease. And in some
Yeah.
of my stats, they do name the numbers. I did send that to you all. So
All right. No worries. Thank you for sharing that, Monica. But yeah, I'll pass it on to Daniela. Daniela, what's your thoughts on tonight's topic, obesity killing our people?
Yeah, no matter where you are in terms of whatever Western world you live in, this seems to be a constant in terms of the issues we face with, especially the health issues. So a big part of the work that I've been doing is sort of look into why certain issues are prevalent in the community in comparison to, say, where we come from originally. So in Tonga, in a sense, I think what's been sort of neglected is that we don't look at it from I guess, nature point of view, in the sense that if you look at Tonga, for example, or most third world country, most people who live there all throughout their life operate on a instinctual based sort of reaction, right? So they react to their environment, and a vast majority of those third world country, westernized world hasn't influenced them in terms of economics, food production, and all that sense. So nature actually provides. So reaction to environment, nature provides, their life carries on. Hardly you see them sit down and talk about health. Oh, that carcass might have a bit too much fat for you. That might be bad for your heart. None of that, right? So when we make the big migrate overseas, to especially westernized world, like here in New Zealand and the United States, all these conversations are extremely, extremely foreign, especially for our older generations or our first gen immigrants. So when we look at a lot of health program where we, the first thing that we target in terms of response, we always look at, you need to exercise, you need to find a gym, these things are good for you. And although the message is correct, these are things that will help promote a healthier lifestyle, it's not comparable to the lifestyle that they've come from. So a big part of my response to that is providing simple solutions. So we've just mobilized pot plants, talo throughout the Tongan community here in New Zealand, older generation, and getting them to start small. After work every day, spend half an hour outside, tending to your garden, make up little boxes, provide tools and whatnot. Building habit is not so much I need to follow one regiment. Just showing up is equally as important. Get into the habit of just showing up, getting outside, tending to your little garden. That's a big part in the step towards a healthy lifestyle. Then we start introducing, okay, what you're doing there in terms of going out to your garden, that's being active. Now you don't have to approach it the same way that we've done in Tonga. You've got a gym now. You can actually go in, have these exercise done, and it does the same result as if you would have been back in Tonga in terms of the lifestyle. Outcome-wise, vastly different. But that's been part of the big research and mobilization that we've been doing here in New Zealand. And I think for the sort of second generation Pacific Islander who's sort of born into the environment, it's the same thing. We sort of echo our parents, and not only that, a vast majority of us either don't gain the education to learn about these things, or we're, and sad to say, we're ignorant to it. Purely might be peer pressure, a big part of it, or just some sort of cultural norm that we grow up in. So as much as I'd like to say it's been a subconscious decision, but at the same time, I mean, information's widely available. So a big part of the work that people that like us who are aware is also providing programs that reintroduce these programs to our people, but not only that, approach it from a culture that they understand. So not necessarily, the Tongans do this way. Look at the culture that they exist in, what it is that they breed in terms of ideology and stuff like that, and that's how we reintroduce it into our people. I think also two good points that was brought up during the Talanoa before. So Monica talks about low income. So looking at, I'll only talk about New Zealand, we predominantly occupy low incomes in terms of numbers, right? So unfortunately, the movement here is to bend institutions into a vast majority of different policies that is inclusive of everyone, except what happens then is that it doesn't deal with the problem, and vast majority of the problem is that we are not teaching our own people in regards to the competence that they need, because it's not just the workplace, it's also at home. Vast majority of the things that we use at the workplace, for example, negotiation and communication, can be used at home. So we need to focus on that in terms of we need to improve the income that our people are getting in the workplace by increasing competence, rather than fighting institutions to just increase policies that's inclusive. We upskill our people, and therefore it gives them back their time, because that's the currency. If our people are just trying to survive it, they don't, either have the time or the money, we can do all the program in the world, but it'll never reach, especially those who are most vulnerable. The other one was, Heta brought up, was just knowledge around gut microbiome is a big importance that people don't tend to sort of look into. You increase the health of your gut, everything starts falling into place. The way that your body processes food becomes a lot more efficient, which overall helps regulate everything within your body. So little things like that you can package up and sort of teach our people, but it's approach in terms of how do we approach them from a place that it's easily for them to understand. But not only that, we also need to understand, especially for the older generation, a vast majority of the Western approach, and this is not calling out, West indigenous blah blah. It's more our people were just operating on instinct, and fortunately enough, the environment provide. It's vastly different here. You now have to work in order to get money in order for you to survive. So just different approach that we need to employ. But yeah, I think it's not so much ignorance in terms of the older generation, but definitely for a vast majority of our youth who know exactly what they need to do. There are information plastered everywhere, but it's just a bit of guidance from people who are in that field. Otherwise, we'll just remain ignorant. And generation after generation, we'll just remain ignorant.
All right. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Taniela. Appreciate that. I know Chris Langi posted a comment for the first time. Shout out to Chris Langi real quick. It's a long. It said, do you guys think trauma, emotional, mental, abusive, physical, sexual abuse, neglect, shame is present in people with obesity, perhaps developed an eating disorder of overeating in order to cope with unhealed trauma, especially from childhood, with obesity rates lower when people begin to heal these internal wounds, negative coping patterns? Yeah, definitely. Kristen Lange, I'm definitely going to bring that up after we get the feedback from Leesah. I don't want to go into mental health a little bit and how our body has a big impact on our mental health. And a lot of times I think our people don't know that. But thank you for that great question, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much, Kristen Lange. I'll pass it to you, Leesah. Leesah, what's your thoughts about obesity and how it's killing our people? Oh, you hear me, Leesah? Oh, I think, Leesah, I think you're frozen. Okay. All right, I'll keep it moving.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but your video's not moving. Yeah.
No, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm sorry, I have technical difficulties. But in regards to what everyone, okay, so what I've noticed in Tonga, there are like,
Hey, Leesah, your audio is Leesah, your audio is
expensive dietary
Leesah, your audio is cutting out. So just for the sake of the
changes,
quality, give me 1 second.
That has led to this epidemic.
Leesah, I'm gonna have to cut you off because the audio is not working well. So it's so that way, can you fix your audio real quick and I'll come back to you. Just for the sake of the quality of the viewers who's watching right now, I want to make sure that the audio quality is great for them who's watching, and you be able to articulate what you said and people have a chance to listen to it. So if you can just fix your audio, I'll definitely come back to you, Leesah. But yeah, but thank you so much for sharing that real quick, and thank you so much for everybody out here. I see a lot of new people in the live chat. Thank you so much for all your feedback. Definitely let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you guys. But I want to attack this. I want to attack this thing. I think something that Siaosi brought up is mental health, and I know a lot of you guys are big on mental health. I know some of you guys brought that up. I know a lot of you guys do that, do a lot of work on that. I don't know. There's this page that's kind of big on social media. I know some of you guys have Instagram. It's called Paleo Mental Health. Do you guys know that page or no? Some of you guys know that page?
I don't know that page.
No, okay. So this is page on it's a page that's growing on social media where a lot of polys would go and post their mental health stories on that page, and it's a good platform where people get to voice their, bring awareness of mental health issues. But the reason why I bring that, I'll put it on the live chat. If you guys never heard of it, you guys can check it out. But one thing I do see that page, and I see all these Pacific Islanders posting their mental health issue problems, and of course they have a picture of themselves, right? The one thing I do see, there's a one pattern I see that I think 99% of them are either overweight, extremely overweight, or morbidly obese. For me personally, the same thing with Siaosi. I believe that for me, like when I work out, I feel like it helps me with my mental space, with my my mental capacity as far as my mental health. I just feel stronger, sharper, clearer when I work out. And there's a lot of science out there that shows that when what you eat, the type of food you put in your body, also affects your emotions and how you feel. And then if you eat bad food, terrible food, junk food, a lot of times if people you feel you don't feel good as a person. So so I want to ask you guys real quick is like how in your experience when it comes to eating healthy, does that have a big impact on mental health? Because I do see a lot of our Pacific Islanders who have mental health issues, but at the same time I see them like they don't take care of their body, and a lot of times I don't believe that you can really fully improve your mental health without evolving your physical, without evolving the physical part. You have to evolve your physical part to some degree. And oftentimes I do see a lot of personal out there that they think that they can just improve their mental health with no nutrition, bad unhealthy lifestyle, don't take care of your body, not working out. And I think if you don't have some kind of healthy lifestyle physically, then you're always going to have mental issue problems. A lot of people say they have self-esteem problems, looking at themselves, looking at their body. Well, if you have insecurities, well, because you don't take care of your body, you don't feel good if you don't eat good and if you don't take care of your health. So, but I just want to bring that up real quick is based on your experience and what you guys go through, do you think mental health is tied to the physical part? Is it separate or is it intertwined? Because I think it's intertwined. I think it's the same thing. If you take care of your physical health, it's also going to reflect and take care of your mental health as well. But do you think it's separate? Do you think that's two separate things? I'll start with you, Heta. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. They intertwine, what you put in your body. I mean, you are what you eat. If
Yeah,
that's what they say. You heard the saying, you are what you eat. But absolutely, I agree that what you put in your body matters because you think about it, 70% of our immune system lives in our gut and everything is processed in the gut, right? So if we feed it junk food all the time, like I said, you'll increase bacteria, right? Your microbiome is it's killing it. So you're gonna have all kinds of disease. So you think of it tells us there are studies out there, you can find it on YouTube, but our gut is like our second brain. That's what, in the gut world, gut health world, that's exactly what they say. Our gut is our second brain, which is true. Everything we eat process goes into our neurons, right? So if you're feeding junk, you'll notice that you're kind of like slouchy during the day. You don't feel energized. It affects the way we think and how we feel, when we feed our body with junk. When you feed it healthy foods, and what I'm saying, some people go all out and eat organic and don't touch anything else. For me, if the label says organic at the store, I don't really agree with that. I just go, look, we like Quintonga. You just go pull the bananas from the tree and eat it. Okay. It's the same thing. So I go, sometimes if it's cheap, I'll buy organic. But if it's not cheap, I'm just buying the regular food. But what I try to do, like I'm speaking for me personally. Um, what I feed myself, it matters to me what I put in my mouth because it helps me. I want to be able to stay, right? It fights off Alzheimer's. Like one of the things that's most important, I think that it's a topic I remember growing up, and people make joke about it. Like I take supplements, and people are like, "What is that?" I noticed that in the Polynesian culture, they're like, "That's a waste of money to spend on supplements, multivitamins, and stuff like that." Right? For me, that is one of the big important things for me. That's why I'm still able to go to the gym and knock out heavy weights because I take care of what I make sure that I eat the right type of food. Because if I eat junk food, I go to the gym, I feel it. I feel sluggish when I work out, right? But when I don't, and plus just mentally, one of the things that we do growing up in the island, we didn't know the coconut oil, MCT oil, if you never heard of that. That helps to grow your brain, take a shot of that, half 1 teaspoon a day. That's really helping, developing your brain. Um, but like I said, what we eat is truly it affects how we think, how we feel, and just being able to move our bodies. And we talk about exercise. Don't make it hard. Just go out and walk around the block. If there's no block, take your kids to the park. Let them play outside. Start off with that. It's just that simple, but it's just making the commitment to move the body and not eat McDonald's every single day. I can't tell you when I learned more about foods and how food affect the body. I think the last time I had Burger King was like 2014 when I started my journey. It's pretty much I don't do junk food, period. Um, and I stay pretty healthy. I can only speak from my own experience. I'm 54 and talking of hearing everybody, Monica, I'm sorry you lost your dad at 58, Langi, your dad's so young at 55. But it was the same thing with me. And people coming from the island, I had three of my cousins. All three came from the island, all gain weight super fast. Their body, I honestly believe, because listening, to the doctor and the heart disease, their body, because when we get heavier, our heart get thickens because it's working extra hard to try for us to help us breathe, right? So all three of them passed away. One with lung cancer, the others, and I firmly believe it's because of eating all the different, eating the foods here in this and not knowing how those junk food impacts our bodies. So
Yes. No, thank you for sharing that. And I like what you said. You are what you eat, man. People, you should, you are what you eat. If you eat healthy, you feel healthy. You eat like junk, feel like junk. Right. So, yeah, that's something that people need to understand. Thank you for sharing that. I think Joel shared. He said, "Walk more than you eat." That's my slogan. All right. And then Ty said, to everyone, stay away from the GABA protein shake crab. Example, Kachawa, WTF. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Ty. Monica, same thing, like, what do you think about how physical activity and physical health, does that intertwine with mental health? What's your thoughts about that?
Okay. Well, there's a lot of thoughts about that. Just quick question about diabetes, right? I'm not too sure how many people know about diabetes or are aware of what diabetes is, but when you aren't born with diabetes, you're type 2. And so innately that means that you've, over the years, you've developed it. And so diabetes really has a huge impact on your mental behavior and you start changing a little bit. You get a little bit more emotional. I'm not too sure how key people are with that, but I do say, like I said, hop onto CDC, check it out, read it. Why I'm mentioning diabetes is because we're talking about feelings, how are you emotionally when you're not eating right, right? A lot of the times, uh, people are people don't even know that they are diabetic, right? And that ties into me talking about the whole COVID-19 issue and people, rapidly dying from not even knowing that they have certain chronic diseases, right? Well, diabetes is one of those, right? It's one of those diseases that kind of creep on you and you don't really know it until you continuously go to your doctor, your primary care physician, and, let's be honest, how many Pacific Islanders have a primary care doctor, right? Not to but a lot of us either have stigmas about going to doctors or don't really have the insurance to go to doctors, right? Um, and it's kind of interesting because on minorityhealth.hhs.gov, you can actually see that in 2018, NHPIs were 2.5 times more likely to be diagnosed with diabetes if compared to um, white population, right? And that's kind of sad. If we're at a 0.1, 0.2%, and they're at a 70%, that means that there's a huge amount of us here in the US that are pretty much having this issue, right? And so, that diabetes, how do you get diabetes, right? Um, for most, well, not most, but you can get it through genetics, but you also get it through the ingestion of different foods that aren't, working with your body correctly. Hence why I did tell everybody to, go onto YouTube, really check out, is a calorie really a calorie? It's a little long, it's about an hour, but it really breaks down to you um, the food products that are in the U.S. and how it's actually affecting you in the long run. And this particular professor really talks about minorities and how it greatly affects minorities when we're ingesting a lot of the products that are sold out here in the market. Now, I'm not saying like to stay away from everything, no, because at the end of the day, it's kind of around you, so you're going to have to somewhat adjust to it. Because if we're all out here in the U.S., right, this is the environment we have to somewhat adjust to, and so that means like our kids or their kids' kids will start adjusting to it as well. But as for right now, I do think that it's important to be conscious about it, because if you're not conscious about it, a lot of the times if you're feeling these like these highs, these lows, these ups and downs, you might want to go check. You might just for especially if it's not if it's out of the norm, right? If you're not usually feeling like down, if you're not like a down person, if you're not really experiencing that, you don't have mental challenges, you might want to go ahead and check to see, what's going on with you. If you don't have insurance, Medi-Cal is always an option. I highly suggest that you just sign up for it to just get that blood test, because that could be it.
All right, no worries. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that, Monica. Let me pass it on to you, Taniela. What do you think when it comes to mental health? Is that separate or is that intertwined together?
It's intertwined, so there's a correlation. Me personally, I think physical health is the foundation for mental health. So if you want to improve your mental health, you've got to start with your physical health, not the other way around. You can't improve mental health in order for you to improve your physical health. It doesn't work that way. It's not a silver bullet. I think that's what some people often mistake it. Oh, but I'm in great shape and I'm still struggling. It's not a silver bullet, but it's a great foundation. When your body is operating at least a baseline, healthy baseline, it gives you a better foundation in terms of developing better habits, better ways of looking at life, and developing strategies in those areas. So they have a relationship, and I think this is an amazing thing that we're talking about in terms of what I can sort of hand off, other than just saying it's related, is that I've got two beautiful kids, and my son is my oldest. He's about to turn 9. And one of the things that we're doing is a little strategy in terms of helping him create his own little tools in order to battle mental health, especially when he gets older, is that we focus a lot on read and writing and maths, and not in the traditional sense of I want you to know your times table, I want you to know how to write a speech or whatever. It's for the pure, simple fact of through maths, I want you to recognize patterns. That's all I want you to learn. Through times tables, there's a pattern. 3 times 2 is the same as 2 times 3. Recognize that. Through reading, you help improve the way you communicate. And through writing, you enforce all of those habits together. And I force him to rewrite anything that he's made a mistake on. And the whole point is recognizing patterns again. I'm making X amount of mistakes today. Goal for tomorrow is make less than that. And why is that important? Because that also helps you in terms of how you view the world. Everything in life are series of patterns that develops into behavior. So although you might be living a lifestyle that's healthy, but if you're stubborn and not wanting to put in the work into your mental health, that's a pattern. So I thought pass that on in terms of parents and children, and this rhetoric that's passed on too many times, but no one's providing a solution for is break the cycle and whatnot. That's how we do it. We start with our kids, and we shouldn't have the excuse of they're stuck in academics and institutions. We have power of influence, and our children should look up to us. And this is how we improve the next generation: is we do the work ourselves to improve ourselves, but not only that, pass on little things to our children so that they build the habits of seeing, oh, mum and dad were extremely unhealthy. I don't want to go down that way because I see a series of patterns. Let me try and figure this out through what I've learned as a kid, and what patterns and behavior leads to better life in a sense. So.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for emphasizing that point that it starts, with we have to break the chain with our children and make sure we teach them that. Thank you for sharing that, Daniela. Appreciate that. I'll pass it to you, Siaosi. What you think? What your thoughts about the mental health is the same? And I know you mentioned before, Siaosi, that working out also helps you relieve a lot of things from you. And can you also talk about, I think something that has been mentioned is stress. One of the things that working out does, it takes a lot of stress, especially for men out there. So can you talk about that as well, in your experience when it comes to stress and what does that do working out? But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think my journey to mental health started with me just trying to look healthy, working out, going to the gym, and but what I've noticed as well too is like every time I go to the gym, I have a better day throughout my day. For those of you who are going on to the gym, you can testify of that. So I started thinking of like, why is it that every single time I go to the gym, I have a better day? And when I'm not going to the gym, I'm sitting there pounding the dashboard. I'm like, I should have gone to the gym, type of deal. And I realized that like each and every one of us have some sense of like stress that goes through our day. The thing with our Polynesian community is that we only know two emotions. We're either sad or we're either too happy. There's no in between. Like when I talk to like all my older uncles about stress, depressed, and all that, they don't have no clue what they are. They think it's just rubbish. It's just like either you're sad or either you're happy. Those are the only two emotions that like I've grown up to know. So for me, I think working out helped me realize is like in between that I can deal with it. And working out, you basically release an energy. I don't know how to explain it, but basically for me, this is what I think in my head is like when I work out, I'm doing something tough for the first thing in the morning. I work out if either 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Then I know that every little thing that bugs me throughout the day, I can handle it. So that's when mental health helps me the most. Is like there was an explanation I really like about mental health. It says mental health is a state of well-being is in which an individual realize his or her own abilities and they can cope with the normal stress of life, can work productively, and is able to make contribution to his or her community. So I really like that. Um, and if I would be honest with you, I think everybody has some kind of drama in their whole life, even in the Polynesian community. There is a level of drama going on. And when we don't deal with those kind of drama, then we like Taniela says, when we come into the Western world, we intend to react instead of taking control of our mental health. So if everybody's going to McDonald's, we react, or there's a certain things that happen, so we react. We have no way of a habit to control and to think for ourselves. We just basically react to what our environment around us is all about, which is, which that's what I've noticed. So mental health helps me take a little bit more control. I'm not saying that we can control it fully, because we always have bad days throughout our lives. But I think the idea of having mental health helps me control a little bit of like what my day is. Because if you can take control of your day is, then you can strive to eat more healthy, because eating that burger versus eating that salad type of deal. So you can know. But when we don't get control of our mental health, basically we act to like whatever our friends is eating for lunch, I'm all for it. So that's what I think. What was your question about the gym again? The stress?
No, yeah. I mean, no, I'm just saying is like you pretty much answered it in your answer. It takes, for you to say, it relieves a lot of stress from you. Because I know one of the things I do see a lot of people that have a lot of mental health problems is they have a lot of stress, but I see that they don't perform any physical activity. And I told them, like, you can't just rely on your mentally just to like feel like think or feel better. At some point, you have to move your body.
Yeah.
And but you answered it. You answered my question. You answered my question on your answer.
Yeah, and then just like that, just to add into like stress, when you move your body, you cannot, I would say, like hold on to stress for a long time. You have to release it, and that's how I picture it. Every time I feel stressed about either at work or so, I pick up the shovel and start shoveling. Like the first thing that comes to my mind, because when I move my body, I am internally thinking and pushing away the stress, but finding solution for what's going on. And a lot of the times it's just like, mental, like, what does Siaosi need at the moment to be able to, to move forward. But I believe that like mental health and, our physical health goes aligned. And that's, I
Yep.
mean, like, there's a lot of explanation out there about it, but I truly believe they are the same.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Chelsea, appreciate that. Yeah, we have a lot of people in the comments. I know Segment said, thank you, Daniela. The mental health causes your physical health. Yeah, appreciate your segment. Thank you for always sharing your thoughts real quick. And I know Underground Road said, working out is a coping skill, helps self regulate. Yep, definitely, definitely. I have a question I want to ask you guys real quick. This, this may be a controversial topic, but I'm going to throw it out there. It relates to our Tongan people, to our culture. Um, One of the things I do believe, say there's somebody out there that's that's overweight, that's obese, right? And they're Pacific Islander, and we know majority of Pacific Islanders, they usually are overweight or obese. Um, I want to ask you guys real quick, because sometimes I have friends who are overweight, they're obese, and I do believe a big part of it, of course, is the accountability is on them. But one of the things I always tell them is like, if you want to live a healthy lifestyle, you have to cut off the people that live unhealthy lifestyle. So you have to stop hanging around other people who are probably overweight or obese, so you can spend time with yourself to focus and discipline yourself to get better. I want to ask you your thoughts real quick. What do you think? What do you think about that? Do you think that because a lot of times, like a lot of personalities, everybody is overweight, everybody is obese. They all hang out with each other. We all go to these family reunions. We're all eating the same food. We all go to these functions. And I think there's some point, if you really want to take your life seriously, want to improve your life seriously, you have to cut off some people. And if you have to cut off some stay away from some functions, from the culture, to step away, to discipline yourself to get better. But I do see, we're very, we like to stay around with our social group. We're very, as people, as Tongans or Pacific, we want to stay with our friends. But I think if somebody is already obese right now, I think it's going to be really, really hard for them to change their life if you keep hanging around all your friends who are obese and fat. And like, what are your thoughts about that? Yeah, about I think Kristen Lange just posted, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Yeah, I love that quote. But what do you guys think about that? Do you think what do you think about like hanging around people with this? If you're in an environment that everybody has unhealthy lifestyle, well, what's your thoughts about that person if they are obese or want to change their life? That's how we do that.
It is true what that person just said, right? The quote, you become the combined average of the 5 people you hang around the most without realizing that. Um, so, one of the things I think you either, because sometimes it's difficult, right? For our people, like maybe they don't have the option to just pack up and go, but sometimes you might have, because I see it in my nieces, right? I'm just talking about my family. All of them, it's like all at once they all become, I mean, obese, big,
Yes.
and like I said, a couple, one of them passed away because of that. um, because what obesity does is like it breaks down the immune system, right? So we cannot, every little thing that come, we're gonna pick it up, any little disease, right? But it's true. You either have to either just pick your stuff up and move away, or hang out in an environment that will help support you. If that's what you want to do, is change a healthy from unhealthy to a healthier lifestyle, is hang out, find an environment and go to that. Sometimes gym, we don't look at joining a gym as anything that, people, some of, I'm just speaking for my nieces, my own nieces, right? They go to the gym, they want fast results, they want quick results, and when they don't see it, they give up, right? So, but the thing is, you have to find different environment. You might have to pack up and find new friends. I mean, find friends that, love to work out. They help you, because in reality, you do actually do whatever your friends, there's a saying out there out there about, birds flying together because it's the same feathers, they stay together, because that's exactly what it does. If you, like my husband is 60, you know and I am, and we just did what the workout, the Murph, the other day. We went, did what, 100 pull-ups, 200, yeah, I don't know, and 300 air squats, 200 push-ups. So we did that, but it's because, like I said, both of us are committed to staying healthy, you know. So the environment and both of us holding each other accountable for what we eat, making sure that we at least eat healthy, 5 days in a row, and, just one day chunk it out, whatever the case is. But it takes a commitment. And when you go, it may be uncomfortable getting out of your comfort zone and doing those things. Um, but there's a book out there. It's called it's an old book, been around, The Atomic Habits: How to Build New Habits and How to Break Bad Habits. If there's a habit you want to adopt, you want to, that book is a great book, by James Clear. I love that book. And so I think, because losing weight, exercising, like I said, when I was at the point of no return, like, it's easier to just get fat, really, than it is to, thinking about exercising, getting up and working out and doing things. But really takes, you need an accountability partner to help you, somebody that, to help you in that journey.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Heta. Yeah, I think it's hard. I think it's just hard to change your lifestyle if you always put yourself in an environment that tempts you, that always tempts you, especially if you haven't built that discipline yet. If you don't have that discipline yet, you haven't really built yourself to be very disciplined. I think it's going to be really hard to build that discipline if you're always around an environment that's always tempting you to break it. Yeah, thank you for dropping that book when it comes to habits. Thank you, Heta. I appreciate that. And Heta, do you mind writing the title of those books in the live chat so people can find those books and they can check it out for themselves? Yeah, Heta dropping some free game, y'all. Get the dropping some free game for everybody out there. I'll pass it on to Monica. Monica, what do you think? A lot of people want to change weight, but they always hang around the same social circle and the same unhealthy friends who always live unhealthy lifestyle. What do you think?
That's really funny that you mentioned that because I had an aunt that told me that a long time ago, and she's funny. Um, but I think that um, from observation, there's truth there because when my father died, I told my stepmom, because she has fatty liver as well. My dad passed away from liver cancer, but he also had heart disease as well, so he fell into that category, right? A lot of the times in your couples, from my observation, like you are like partners. So, you kind of like you have the same like habits, right? Which would be somewhat, I don't know. I can't really say from friendship like that, but I know just looking off of that aspect, um, I did tell her like you're gonna have to like make changes now because you had a partner, which is my dad, and the lifestyle wasn't up to par, and so you want to make sure that you're okay because we have a really good relationship. Like she's an awesome lady, and so just having that conversation with her was really like recognizing is the fact that like there is maybe some truth to that. With my friendships and stuff, um, like we're all individuals, so and I mean I really have more of a mental mental stimulation with my friends, not so much more of a habitual. But there are, obviously people are all different, right? So, you might term to habitual habits, but, for myself, I'm very busy. So, it's very hard for me to hang out with my friends, but they're over there because we talk and we talk about different things, but at the end of the day, we're all individuals, right? So
Yeah.
I totally understand that aspect of it, but I do know for a fact when you are a partner with somebody, and that's just from observation, I think it's really great that you and your partner, as mentioned before, to piggyback off of that, has picked a lifestyle that is better because it essentially you can see an improvement. Um, so yeah.
No worries. Thank you for sharing that, Monica. I'll pass it into Siaosi. Siaosi, what do you think? When it comes to talking people always hanging out with each other, a lot of people are overweight. What do you think about that? Your social circle.
I think it's gonna be a very very hard process because I know we're very social, people. And for me, I'll be honest with you, it's very hard to get rid of my friends because we've been friends since I got here, and a lot of them are friends that I've known since high school. So I would say there's a lot of ways to not get rid, but like stay away from your friends. But staying busy is my way of just switching into like a different group of friends. I'm busy enough that like the group of people that I hang out with is just the coworkers that work with me, and they know lunchtime I got a little salad that I pull up, and they tease me all day long about the salad, but I don't care. But I know that like I can kick their butt all day long at work because that's what the salad gives me, because but I think it's a really hard process to be able to switch off friends to a newer group of friends. I don't know a way to switch. The only thing that I can think of is set boundaries, and that is really really hard because we're not taught how to set boundaries with other people. Especially when you go into functions and people invite you to come and eat this and this and this, and what do you say? As far as trying to set the boundaries, what they know where you stand as far as your health and stuff like that. And I'm still learning myself, but that's probably one of the skills that we could all learn to do is set boundaries with other people. Let them know that like you're in a health journey, you're in a journey to become, to live longer, not the, eat a lot today and die tomorrow.
Mm.
But I think it's a good skill. I'm trying to set boundaries with family members myself, and it's a struggle because we're always going back and forth about I would set boundaries today and we're like so good, and then tomorrow we go back to square one and restart again. So but to me it's a skill to learn, and I think that's one of my advice as far as you don't have to get rid of your friends, you don't have to like make new friends, you just need to set boundaries. And the friends that respects you for your boundaries will stick around and will support and will help you with your goals as well too. And a lot of it is like, especially with people that are obese, to set boundaries with another person is probably hard. For me it's easy because like I'm skinny, and I'll tell people that I'm in a fitness journey and they okay. But for a lot of obese people, it'll be harder. But don't be afraid to learn ways to set boundaries with them. Even if it just, you don't have to be mean or to be rude to them, but you can say it in a nice way where they can respect where you stand as far as your goals. I believe that people do want the best for each other, and if you set your boundaries, I'm sure that all your friends will respect that, and then they will support it. And if they don't like it, man, maybe that's the best time to like get rid of those. I mean, to stay away from those friends and find new ones that would help you grow and improve.
No worries. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Siaosi. And Siaosi, why you say you were skinny? Stop lying, man. You're not skinny. Papella, man. You got a papella, bro.
It's funny. It's like every phone call I do, like video call with my family,
Yeah.
they tease me because I'm skinny. I have no idea why. It's like you've gone to America for 6 years and this is how you look.
I think you need to start making some shirtless dancing videos. just to prove. Oh no, you gotta let people know. You gotta let people know.
I meet all my aunties, and that's the first thing they would say. You've been in America for 6 years. Why you're not gaining weight?
All right, no worries. Thank you, Siaosi. I think Ty said, "You're Polynesian skinny." LOL. No worries, no worries. Thank you so much for sharing it. I'll pass it to you, Taniela. Taniela, what do you think, man? As far as like it's like Pacific Islanders is like trying to change their weight, but then when the majority of the people you're going to be with are probably going to be overweight and obese as well.
Yeah, there's truth to it, and ultimately, my own personal belief is that that's a huge possibility. But also at the same time, one of the things that I try and pass on as some sort of advice to people is that if you're in an environment where the environment is not serving you in whatever facet that may be, whether that's mental health, physical health, that's actually a great place to start in terms of upskilling. So what do I mean by that? When we talk about overweight people, one of the things that you'll easily notice is that their social skills aren't that great. Their communication skills aren't that great. So in terms of going out from a group of familiarity into a new group of completely strangers, that might be a task that's a bit too far out of their current skill set. So use the opportunity that you have a group of friends, maybe their lifestyles promoting unhealthy lifestyle, but use that as a way of learning how to negotiate with them. What Siaosi was saying, learning how to put boundaries, learning how to communicate and socialize within that. And if at the end of the day they still want to pursue this lifestyle, then you can take all of that, all of those skills that you've learned from a place of familiarity and then put it out into the world. Okay, find people, because now it'll make it a little bit easier. Okay, now you can communicate, you can negotiate, you can set boundaries with strangers that you now meet. But ultimately, it depends on how you see it. Me personally, use what you've got in order to develop a new way of looking at life. And if it's still not serving you once you attain those skills, then move on. And you have to be selfish in order to be selfless. So in order for you to help other people, you have to help yourself. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Daniel. Yeah, I like that. In order to help other people, you have to help yourself first. Yeah, I think I was listening to Heta. I think Heta made a great point. I was thinking about this, and I didn't have this. I wasn't gonna. It wasn't something I didn't have as far as a discussion tonight, but I want to bring it up because I think it is really important. In the Golf Club podcast, we have to keep it real, keep it honest when it comes to discussions. I do want to talk about when it comes how obesity affects our relationship with our partner when we are in a relationship or in a marriage. So, how does that affect that? Like, if you're a person that's really healthy and your partner starts to gain weight and becomes obese, how do you navigate that? Obviously we know, in a strong relationship, we're going to be intimate. We have to be sexually attracted to each other for a healthy relationship, and making sure that we're attracted to each other to keep that to keep that passion in the relationship. I do hear from a lot of conversations from a lot of my friends who are in a relationship and their partner is starting to get overweight, but they don't know how to communicate that to them. Hey, how do you navigate through that? So I kind of want to dive into that. I think that is important, when it comes to like our relationship with our partner. Heta said that it was great. You have a husband and you guys work out together. So, sometimes it's maybe a good idea for somebody out there that wants to, partner up in a relationship with somebody. Maybe a good idea to partner up with somebody that has a good, healthy lifestyle. These are things for me personally, like the health of if I'm going to marry somebody, her health habit is going to be important to me, not only long term because I want to spend our life together. I want to make sure that we're going to have a long marriage, but also I understand that me and her are going to be the example for our kids. So if I happen to marry somebody that's already obese or overweight, they're going to grow up, and then our kids going to see that, and that's going to become the standard for them. So I want to make sure that we set the example. I mean, that's just me personally. Some people, like I said, it's different. But I do want to bring that up. I think it's important in our conversation. How does that affect our relationship? And if you're a person out there that your partner starts becoming overweight, or obese, and you're a healthy person, how do you communicate that to make sure that because this is some things that happen in real life, and I think these are things that that's important. I'll start with the men. Taniela and Siaosi. As men, we want to make sure. Obviously, we're guys. We like to. We want our wives to make sure they're beautiful. That's something important for us as men to keep our relationship together. How do you navigate through that as far as like making sure that you guys bring up the discussion when it comes to the health, to the weight? You have that type of discussion. Hey, honey, we gotta be healthy. We gotta make sure do you guys hold each other accountable? If you start getting overweight, does he hold you accountable, or do you hold him accountable? Like, how does that affect your relationship? I'll start with you, Taniela, when it comes to like the weight.
Yeah, so the weight thing, just physical health in general. So my wife, she's type 2 diabetic. And a result of that, she had a tumor in her head a year ago, which had to be removed. So emotionally, she's all over the place. But I understand that's a health condition, and my way of mitigating that is just helping her recognize those certain events where she goes a bit too into her emotions. But in general, we talk about reaction. So us having kids is an absolute great example of how we navigate through that conversation. When you have kids, they play up. They're all over the place. And one way of identifying whether you have a healthy baseline is how you respond or how you react to them. If you're always screaming, they might have some indication along with physical health, how you maintain diet, whether you are remaining active and all of this stuff. So a conversation that me and my wife always have is that she tends to be the one that's always, telling the kids off, and it goes a bit too overboard sometimes. And I'm sort of use the dad voice every now and then. The kids shut up, do as their mother's told. So we navigate those conversations, and sometimes I recognize certain patterns where it's out of the norm, where it's not her, in the sense of this is your health baseline, where you're screaming but you're not too overboard, but then you go overboard at certain events. So we have this conversation of, have you been eating right this week? You've been complaining about feeling lethargic. I understand that you're a woman, and either it's your monthly or all of these things, but it's none of those. Have you been eating? Oh, I haven't had time. Well, we need to make time. Because essentially these by going through habits of not taking care of your health, it manifests in the way that we react or respond. So those conversations don't need to be hard, in the sense of learn a little bit, especially if you're a male. Learn a little bit about health and how health affects not just your body, but the way you react to your environment, and navigate those conversations through that way. The vast majority of women who, like my wife, who don't really love that type of thing, she would rather watch a bit of TikTok and then go and make dinner and help the kids and be a mother. So she's not fairly interested in learning those things. That's where I come in and help that conversation. The reason why I'm a little bit more regulated in the way that I react to a lot of stress is because I try and look after myself and my health. And this is the reason why. For you ladies, it's estrogen, and this is how it helps the body. So do your due diligence in the sense of you have information, and you have accurate information in sites that Monica has put out. So learn about them, because I don't think it's the responsibility of the woman to navigate that. It's the responsibility of the man to help the family a whole, to navigate through those spaces. She then becomes the support for you, because to me, at the end of the day, she's got a far more important job, which is raising my kids. The help that I can get is to lead in that sense, and to help her notice, okay, so that's probably why I go a bit too overboard. So that's how I navigate those conversations.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Daniela. And then at least if you're watching, shout out to you. All right. Know what? Siaosi, same thing. When it comes to like health in your relationship, you say, obviously a lot of people they struggle with that. Especially if one partner becomes unhealthy, you're the healthy one. Like, how do you navigate that in a relationship? Like, what's your experience like?
I think it's like it's a very touchy subject because for women it's more emotional. For us men is physical. But I think it's one of the like Daniela was saying is like you. I'm bad with paying attention at home on like when the tone goes up and down. Mostly at the time, I was just like focused on like how I can be able to like calm down everybody in the house. But it does affect in the relationship as far as like for me, I work out, I stay active, I focus on my mental health and physical health because I have more control over my emotion so that I don't react in a certain way. Because I do know when I react, uh, when I react, when I don't get control over my reaction. So I have a sturdy ground when I focus on my mental health and my physical health at first. My job now is just support my family, my wife, and kids to stay active to where they at. And for the most part, right now, I'm showing an example of becoming the healthy, physical, because then like you could get more control of your emotion. Plus, it's fun when you have a lot more energy when you come home on a tiring day to play with the kids. Um, but it is a conversation that needs to be done, like Daniela says. It does it does affect the relationship when you don't focus on your mental health or your physical health, then your moods and emotions go up and down. But it's a good conversation to have. Plus, if for me, it's like if your spouse um, bring up the option of like they wanna start a goal of a fitness goal or any mental health goals, please support. And co- try not to compete in a very unhealthy way and just show off that you're like a lot more stronger and a lot more in the gym. Support, that's your job as a as a person that's actively, because it's look at it as if like if you go into the gym with a new person that's their first day in the gym, you don't want to go there and like prove to them that like you lift heavier than them. You got to be there and just work with them baby step, because they want to feel comfortable. And once they're comfortable, they're going to always up their goals so they can reach a higher purpose, a higher goal. So that's your job. And being supportive is very key in any way. I like to, on Sundays, I like to take the family out on walks, on hikes, when we get a chance, very outdoor. And that's my way of like, helping everybody get out and do something physical. So, yeah.
All right. Yeah. No worries. Thank you for sharing that. Sales, appreciate that. Especially too, Heta, what do you think? Obviously you got a good partner. You guys work out together. That's the couple's goal for every. That's goals for all the couples out there. Where you have people, you have somebody you can hold yourself accountable to each other. But you did mention, there was a phase where for 20 years you weren't taking care of your weight. Obviously, for a lot of both the men, they said that that's a very sensitive thing for a woman. It's about her body. There's a lot of women. It's one of the vulnerable spots for you guys. So, like, can you talk about like how did your husband support you during that 20 years, and obviously you guys were able to change your lifestyle. Everybody out there that's watching this right now.
Yeah, so for us, right, like I've said, we didn't start our health journey until 2014, right? And so it wasn't, when one of us tried to lose weight, the other, kind of like just do his own thing. And it never works because it's like I'm over here trying to eat healthy or drink shakes or whatever, and he's over there eating junk food. So I'm like, forget this. I'm gonna do that. So, like I said, it takes both to make it work, right? But when we made up our mind, we knew, that we have to change lifestyle. We knew that because we were spending too much time going to the doctors, um, and then the prescription from the doctors, right? Because like me, one time because I was dealing with migraine headaches, which really a result of eating too much sugar, right? And so migraine headaches, she put me on depression medication, which made me even worse. I became really moody and not, my mental health was not all there. I wasn't there all mentally. I stay moody, argument escalates. My husband and I have been married for over 32 years now. And I have to say, within the past, from 2016 on, right, to up to now, we are probably both in the best shape of our lives. We are happier in our relationship, but a part of that is that we make sure that our lives are aligned. We have alignment in our lives in every area, spiritually, physically, and mentally, right? Those are very things that are truly important to us. And so when we start our day off with our devotion, then we go work out, we commit. There's 24 hours in a day. Everybody's given that. There's no more time. Whatever each person decide to do with those 24 hours is up to them. But for us, we put at least 1 hour and commit to making sure that we go work out, do some type of physical exercise. I have to say, even I shouldn't say this because I'm sure I have family out there listening, but even our intimate relationship, you know, and to me, it's like, because we're both healthy physically, we talk about that because I remember we were like, we didn't even think we'd hit our 50s. Like, I'll be 55 this year and my husband is 60, and it's like our nieces and our nephews notice it because they're like, you guys are age reversing. What are y'all doing? But that's going to that, just trying to stay healthy, because it's like as you get older, like I said, you go to the gym, you need to start small. Don't go over there and look at what everybody is. Comparison kills any goal, any purpose. When you start looking at other people, what they're doing, just focus. I think for me, consistency came with workout when I start switch my mental attitude towards working out. Instead of thinking about, how my body should look or what the scale should tell me, I switched to like, how do I feel afterwards after a workout? How does my body feel and where is my mental state at after a workout? When I focus on emotional side, my EQ side of from physical, what I get from physical exercise, it switched it. That really helped me with consistency. And I just say, like I said, I bet, you can eat healthy all you want, but if you're not moving physically, it's not going to do you any good at all. So,
Yeah. No worries. Thank you for sharing that, Heta. Yeah, and I appreciate you for saying that. Your story of what you shared with your husband, and yeah, I think that's important to have both parties aligned and making sure you're both on the same page. It's hard to like healthy one, and then you look over the couch and you hear with your salad and your partner is eating you know like junk food like burgers from Burger King or something. So it's really tough. It's good to have somebody that's aligned. But pass it to you, Monica. Monica, um,
Mhm.
when it comes to being with somebody and then and making sure you guys both are healthy and holding each other healthy, making sure we hold each other being healthy, not letting the other person become overweight or obese. How like for you, what's your experience as far as navigating through that?
I think that's important. I think that's really important. Um, Based off of like, I mean, well, based off of like what I've seen from like my parents, Like my mom's really into health because she wasn't born with health. So, her and her husband now, like she's always kind of like checking in and stuff because like he's a bigger guy. Um, so she's kind of always like monitoring what he's eating. She does her Zumba and stuff like that. And then like, but then then there was the other side of it, like, and I think I mentioned that earlier about the previous question. Uh, sometimes like you can love each other, like, and then like not really progress in that way health wise based on the fact that like you're comfortable and you're living life and stuff like that. So um yeah, I think it's important. I think that um a lot of the times, especially in the older ages, I think the stats that I mentioned were all kind of like adult ages. I didn't even mention like the child ages, but if you are an adult and you're in a partnership with somebody else, right? You want to make sure that like your habits are on a positive level because um, you know you're going to build a family if you decide to build a family, and if you do build a family, then that means that your kids are going to learn that habit, and then when they learn that habit, then their kids learn that habit, and it becomes like a ritual down the line. So um, yeah, I think it's important.
Okay. And quick question, Monica. Like, would you, if you do you appreciate if a guy holds you accountable? Hey, you're starting to gain a little weight. You know, is that something that you would appreciate from your partner, or is that too sensitive for you?
No, I would like kill him. Of course, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, well, I think that it's not. I don't know. I feel like if you're with your partner, like you guys should be comfortable enough to be telling each other the truth. And if you guys aren't, then that's not a good thing. But it also could be like an individual thing. Like maybe you haven't learned that truth yet, and so maybe you're still uncomfortable with that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, no worries. Yeah, no worries. Just wanted to ask, because I love what Taniela said. I think that that's the man's responsibility to communicate that and control that part to make with his wife. I agree with that. But I do have one topic, and we'll conclude the podcast we'll conclude the podcast with this. This was a topic that I think it's going to be very controversial, but I want to bring it up. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people were upset when I posted my video about to promote the podcast because I was talking about body positivity. So today we live in a time in modern society. We have this body positivity movement uh, where, in my opinion, I feel like it's more subjective when it comes to our weight. So people are not being honest with themselves, not being objective, understand the reality of where they are with their health. So we have this body positivity movement where people, so we have these labels that doesn't really classify the truth of where you are physically. So we have this movement of plus size, and a lot of times I see a lot of women on social media in real life that they're clearly obese by the definition, clearly unhealthy. But a lot of people out there don't believe that they're overweight or they're obese. They think I'm plus size. So for me, I think there's this movement that's kind of normalizing and encouraging people to normalize unhealthy habits, normalize being obese. That it's okay to be obese. It's okay to be overweight and unhealthy, and that's beautiful, right? And I think that's for me, just for the very reason of this, it's unhealthy. I don't think we should normalize, encourage people to to normalize habits that we all know the consequence. You can die, you can have heart disease, you can have chronic diseases, it can cause a lot of issues with you. It can also affect your relationship with your partner. There's all these consequences that we discussed on this podcast of why being unhealthy and obese. But there's this movement in today's society, and I have friends today who don't believe that they're overweight, they're fat. They just believe that, oh, I'm plus size. I'm good. I don't need to. I'm beautiful. I don't need to change. I don't need to make any changes in my life. I don't need to get healthier because I love myself. And I do see there's this level of delusion and no awareness of reality that you're gonna have a lot of consequences. And unfortunately, when the consequences hit, when the realities hit, when they pass away, and the very people nobody was being honest with you to have that conversation with you to change your life, but it's too late now. So I just wanted your quick thoughts about what you think about the body positivity. Um, I think it's creating a lot of delusion to a lot of people, and I think it's a lot of people lack awareness. A lot of people, because they are surrounded by all the things they hear from other people from social media, they're validating that it's okay to live unhealthy and it's okay to be that way. And unfortunately, like I said, the consequences it's gonna hit them hard. And then unfortunately, when this hits them, it's gonna be too late for a lot of people. So, what's your thing about the body positivity movement? I'll start with you, Heta. Heta, what do you think about the body positivity movement? That we have a lot of people out there that are obese, overweight, and they don't consider themselves obese, overweight. They consider themselves beautiful, plus size. I don't need to change. I'm okay. What do you think about that, Heta?
The one thing I have no control over is what other people attitudes are, right? And so, but for me, when I look at, I'm looking, just talking about from my own, speaking within my own families, my nieces and nephews. The thing that I see is that the only thing that first thing when I see them is that the number of their years in life,
Yeah,
their years in life is numbered, shortened. Monica just read the stats to us from CDC. You know, Polynesians 65 age, we live up to that's the longevity compared to, you know, others. So, um, if that's, for me, to be honest, I don't watch TV. I don't even hardly ever get on social media. I used to post like videos of my workouts because it helps some of them, my nieces and nephews, um, do the workout themselves, help motivated them to work out. And I need to get back to doing that for them, because it'll help some of them to get outside and get active. Um, but to me, it maybe some other people think it's okay, but the truth is we need to bring the stats out. So like Monica said, bring the numbers out and say, look, this is the age, I mean, that's what it is. It's truly unhealthy for them, and I keep, like one of my nieces, I worry about her because I keep thinking I'll get the phone call and say, you know, she's
yeah.
gone. So do we love them, say the God's honest truth to them and say, we got to do something, or do we just kind of keep feeding that habit, right? But it goes to what Daniela said, starts at home, the parents. What examples are you setting for your children? What kind of legacy you want to leave for your kids and your grandkids, your generations to come after that? um, So that's what I say about body positivity.
Okay. All right. No problem. Thank you for sharing that, Heta. I appreciate that. I'll pass it to you, Siaosi. Siaosi, what do you think about the body positivity movement? You think it's helping people, or do you think it's kind of like encouraging people to live unhealthy? Like, what's your thoughts on how you feel?
I don't agree with like the body positive. What was it called?
Body positivity movement. Yeah.
Yeah, but I should say like it should be a self positivity movement, because it's a personal, because deep down it's like it's our individual needs to be validated, and we have to be able to do that on our own. And I've seen it a lot more nowadays that this movement is going on, but deep down I feel like it's we don't compare ourselves to other people. That's why social media is such a deceiving um, thing nowadays, because then people are comparing a lot more. The only person that you need to compare yourself to is yourself yesterday. Try to be better today than the person yesterday. And I stole that from somebody that I heard today on one of my motivation videos, but it's true. We shouldn't be comparing ourselves to somebody that looks a lot better than we are, because they might be like the person earlier that we talked about, might be look muscly outside and then die a lot younger than everybody else, because we don't know. So all we need to do is focus on ourselves as a self-improvement movement. Try to improve ourselves as an individual, and stop comparing yourself to other people. And that's like one of the things that I hate the most, even in everything. I think um, I heard this from Earl Nightingale, is like, stop comparing, but be creative. Start creating your life. Don't compare yourself to other people, because when you compare yourself to other people, you're getting diluted into something that, like, you're probably never going to catch. But if you start creating a better life for yourself, you'll definitely be happy in the end, because you're achieving your own self goals as an individual. So that's what I believe in. I think it's an individual self improvement movement. That's what I should call it. So yeah.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that, Charles. Appreciate that. Self positivity movement. Pass it to Taniela. Taniela, what do you think, Taniela, when it comes to the body positivity movement?
I've got no problem with how people live their life. My sense of responsibility are limited to the boundaries of the four wall that I have influence in, and maybe the community that are willing to have me a part of whatever it is, the program that I run, in terms of my influence in the program. But I don't believe in body positivity. If you genuinely feel happy and you're content with your lifestyle habits, that's on you. That's fine. What I have a problem is that when we start driving movement behind something that we know, we feel and we know that is absolutely based on no foundation at all, no robust foundation in terms of how we live in our lifestyle that creates better community and how we function as a community together. That's when I have a big problem with it. Live your life, as we all say, live your life the best way that you know how. And if that's a decision and that's a choice that you want to go down, that's ultimately up to you. You'll face the consequences, no one else. But don't push it on other people in the sense that you should have the same ideologies as I do, when it lacks a big understanding of health in general. And the vast majority of our problem that we're trying to deal with, especially as Polynesian and Pacific Islander in general, it derives from health. We're not just talking about chronic diseases of heart attacks, strokes. We're also talking about suicide. The vast majority of the things that I get to see is the data on suicide here, and it always leads from bad habits created out of bad regulations of food and diet and overuse of alcohol and that sort of stuff. And that's where it usually leads. You let go of your physical health to whatever extent, those are your consequences. So I don't believe in the sense of having it as a movement. And what Siaosi was saying, if it's a self positivity, you yourself will know the consequences, and you would most likely dealing with it as you go through and navigate through your day-to-day life. But to have it spread out so you find some sort of justification for your choices, it's unhealthy on top of unhealthy habits. So that's my take.
Yeah. No worries. No, I totally agree with you, Taniela. I think, like I said, I don't care what people do for their personal life. If that's how you want to live. My problem is when you push it and promote it to other people, especially younger people. Hey, I'm healthy. I like to be unhealthy. I like to live an unhealthy lifestyle, and you promote that to younger people who don't have the experience or the knowledge to understand that there's risk behind your decision. You're an adult, you made that for yourself. But when you're promoting on social media to younger people who don't know the risk behind it, that's what I have a problem with. And pass it to you, Monica. What do you think? I know we've had our conversation about body positivity, but what's your thoughts about body positivity?
Okay, so this is a very realistic way I'm thinking about it, right? If I see a bigger woman, and she's like very beautiful, right? Because I have, and it was like one of the women that you put on your little spiel on this, and I actually think both of them have really beautiful faces. And like, you know, when it comes to body and stuff, okay, it's difficult for me to say this, but we're all different. Um, so when it comes to beauty wise, I'm gonna say like, yeah, I mean, I think that if you're beautiful, you're beautiful. Especially if you're able to be that big and be beautiful. Because a lot of the times when PIs or even like women from different minority communities, when they become really big like that, they tend to, you know, there's like they tend to have other issues, and it's like more visible on like the skin, the face, the hair, and stuff like that. So if your body is actually able to like not do that, that means like really there's like a different type of beauty that you uphold genetically, right? So that's what I can say about that. Um, as far as health wise, and as far as the promotion of that, right? I think that for a long time, and I've said this before, I said it last week, and I'm gonna say it again. I'm not a feminist, but I do observe a lot of things, right? And I observe a lot of things um, based on what they look like. And so I think that a lot of the times when women tend to come out of the norm, it's easy to kind of just, you know, look at their bodies and prejudge them and all this other stuff. But to me, right, if you're a woman and you're overweight, but you're on the journey of losing weight, like I can't sit there and say that you're not doing something positive, especially if you're at a certain weight, right? And a lot of times people are using social media for different things. But I'm talking about the women that are using social media, you know, to promote their journey in weight loss, right? More kudos to you, because really what you're showing is you're showing the 49% of Americans who are obese, like yourself, that you're doing something. That's on the stats as well. That's sent to you as well. And 49 is like close to about 50, y'all. So that means that there's a high percentage of people that are obese, beyond a 30% level of BMI, that are suffering. And the reason why I say that is because it's very difficult for me to say that we're all in control of this, because sugar is addictive. We don't ever talk about that. We don't ever talk about, we talk about drugs, we talk about alcohol, we talk about all this other stuff, but nobody ever talks about sugar and how addictive it is. In actuality, it's one of the most toxic and most addictive things that's in everything we consume, right? Um, Fruits and vegetables, in some senses, I mean, with the pesticides that's in it right now, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. But all I'm saying is like we're in control, but we also aren't really, because when you're an individual and you start ingesting a lot of you know, foods that are out here, especially in the U.S., right? And you ingest them and you're having all these issues, but you don't know why. That really is your drug. Like as a person that, you know, doesn't understand that at that point in time. Also, you know, we're a part of a community, right? That doesn't have the right connections, right? Doesn't have access to like nutritionists or, you know, people that can guide them, right? Or to like the understanding that like shit, you're addicted to sugar, and you're constantly putting you know, utmost grams of sugar and consuming them on a daily basis, right? Because really there's studies on that. Fortunately, I didn't have that on here, but there's studies on it where people, you know, have, you know, kind of gone through withdrawals off of like a certain amount of gram of sugar that they're used to on a daily basis. And they become entirely different. They become irritable, they become upset, they become depressed, right? And that's like signs of addiction, right? So I'm looking at it from a whole different perspective. And while everybody's perspective here is very valid, right? Because it is, like I'm looking at it from a different perspective.
Okay, no worries. I know one of the I guess the feedback from a lot of people who watched that video because I used the clips from those girls who were obese. They asked me like, why didn't I use men videos of men? And here's my response to everybody out there: Daniela, if you have a friend that's obese and overweight, what do you call him?
I have a friend
No,
who's
no, I'm
fat
sorry.
and
I'm sorry.
obese.
Yeah, if you have a male friend, if you have a male friend that's obese or overweight, what do you call him?
Yeah, I hold
A
him
male friend.
accountable and tell him he's fat.
Okay. Siaosi, if you have a male friend that's obese and overweight, what do you call him?
You're fat.
So the reason why I didn't make clips of men because body positivity does not exist in men. It's only for women.
But
we
I
make
have two questions about that.
we make these terms to kind of overshadow the reality, but for men, there's no body positivity for men. For men, if you're fat and obese, you're just fat and obese. There is no, empowered man or empowered weight, and that's why I didn't put the clips of the guy because we're honest with men, but for women we make an exception. But I think that hurts them in the long run. Monica,
I had a
you had a
question about that. Well, what makes you think that women don't do the same thing? And what makes you think that women don't identify being fat as being beautiful?
you tell your friends directly if they're obese and overweight.
Well, I don't really feel like my friends are. Well, yeah, I don't
So I'm
really feel
sure you
like
have
they
some,
are.
I'm
But
sure
if
you have
they,
some friends.
but what I'm saying, I'm not even talking about my own personal experience. But that's the question. Like what makes you think that like all women are like that? That all women don't like call their friends out, but like, oh, you're fat, but you're hella pretty. You know what I mean? Or like you're fat, but you're hella beautiful. Because there are women that do that.
We
Well,
don't
I'm gonna say to you.
sugarcoat. That's
In
the
general. I'm saying
difference.
in
Like,
general. In
so
general.
so what Will is saying is that we don't sugarcoat. You're fat, but you're still beautiful. When we say it to our mate, you're fat. You need to do something about it. Whereas, vast majority of the response from women is that you're fat, but you're still beautiful, sis, or whatever it is. So you deliver a backhand compliment in sugarcoating the issue in terms of verifying that, yeah, you're fat, but you're still beautiful. So what sort of message are you delivering essentially? Is that, are you wanting the person to do something about their lifestyle, or are you just promoting, oh, you're fat, but you're still beautiful? So that's the difference, is that I think that approach
Because I've heard
is
that a
not
lot.
necessarily,
I just said that because I've heard that a lot. Like,
yeah,
you know,
it's
like
not necessarily wrong or right. It's the way that we approach it from a male and female perspective. The reason why Will is saying we don't use the video from men is because we call it from a logical standpoint when we talk to other men. When women do it, you have to appeal to the emotion. Otherwise, it becomes a very iffy relationship from there on. So that's essentially what we're trying to get to.
Yeah. So, Heta, any thoughts on that? Anything you want to say to that?
Well, I'll just have to say this. I mean, my husband and I, we've always been very direct and, what we say. I mean, when I was overweight, he just straight up tell me I'm fat, and I'm like, I know it, and I know I have to do something about it. And one of the things I did, um, I saw that we went to the store, it had like this jacket, right? Um, and I wanted to. It was a rain jacket. It's a North Face rain jacket. And I'm like, my husband, I picked it up and said, I'm buying this. It was on a sale rack, right? And he's like, you can't even zip the jacket. What are you going to do with it? I said, this is my starting point right here. One of these days, I'm going to fit into that jacket. I hung that jacket until I could fit in it in 2016, right? But like I said, we started out walking. We didn't go out and, do everything. We started out walking. And then to a point where I came home and he signed me up for CrossFit. I'm like, what? What? you know, um, but that's what it came to. So I went and did it. If you know it's for your own good, I think one of the questions we need, to ask is like, how long do you want to live? How
Hmm.
long? How many years do you think you still have if you are a person who's out there, And some people may could care less. They may like, look, I'm going to live my life to the fullest now for the time I have until it's time for me to, you know, drop dead. And some people may like, hey, maybe it's a wake up call. How
Yeah.
long, how many more years do I have left? You know, if you ask yourself that question, maybe you'll change your attitude about how you deal with your health.
No worries. All right. Thank you, Heta. I think Ty said North Face is a good brand. I highly recommend. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. Trudy said, yeah, yes, Heta. Use it to motivate you. Thank you, Trudy, for sharing. And I know Segment said the main factor indicated for overall health is body positivity. LLO, I wish. All right. Thank you so much, everybody in the live chat. We have come to the conclusion of the podcast. Shout out to everybody in the live chat. Shout out to the guests. Thank you for sharing. Just having this open conversation when it comes to obesity, having this difficult conversation that a lot of people, be uncomfortable, be hard to have, especially from people who have different experiences with their body weight and with their health. Thank you for having this open, honest conversation all night long and sharing your thoughts on the live chat, but also sharing your experience as well and dropping a lot of knowledge. Definitely check out the live chat. I know Heta posted some different books on the live chat to help you change your life and give you guys more information, do your own research. So there's a lot of gems. If you're just tuning in tonight, right now at the end, definitely go back to the beginning. A lot of our guests shared some gems and some advice and some data, statistics, and things you could do to overall start small, so you can overall improve your quality of life. But yeah, nevertheless, thank you so much. I'll just ask my guest real quick. What's your final thoughts from tonight's podcast? Thank you so much for being on here, having this great conversation. And how can people find you? I'll start with you, Heta. What's your final thoughts? And thank you so much for all the knowledge you posted and all the books that you shared today. But how can people find you as well? Go ahead, Heta.
I'm out there. I'm head high. Out there on Instagram. I'm, on Facebook. Uh, but I think my final thoughts is I hope that we start new habits teaching our kids. If we are at that point as young parents, um, start at home, like Daniela said. Start at home. Start with simple things. Take your kids on hike. Them take them to the park. Teach them activity, healthy habits. Show them, eating vegetables and like we grew up in the island. Eat healthier. Doesn't have to be organic, but you can eat like vegetable meat and whatever starch. Uh, be active. Make it fun for everybody. Make it fun and enjoyable.
No, right. No worries. No worries. Thank you, Heta. And and keep doing your thing, Heta. You're out here outworking 90% of people out there who are in their 20s and 30s. You're way better shape. So keep leading that example for everybody out there. Thank you, Heta. I pass it to you, Sonny. I'm sorry. Sorry, Siaosi. Siaosi. What's your thoughts, Siaosi? Final thoughts. How can people
Well,
find you?
I just want to thank um, everybody here in the group. Thank you, Heta, for showing an example of man. I wish I'm gonna be in my 50s and still go to the gym. It's always been one of my thoughts. Is like I go to the gym and see older people, and I'm like, you inspire me to continue coming on. Because if you're still here when you're 60s, 70s, and 80s, I should be here a lot longer than I appreciate you guys for all the things that we shared today. Learned today a lot about basically how correlation our mental health is and our physical health, and how it correlates with our relationships as well too, especially at home. Start them young. Um, it's always a good opportunity for me to jump in on this podcast to listen to all of you guys. Thank you, Taniela, for tuning in from New Zealand. Thank you, Will, for hosting us and continuing bringing all these cool topics that we continue to like unravel our brain to share raw and authentic and honest material so that the community can learn from. And this is very important, guys. I would recommend starting something, a goal in for 2022, to improve your physical health, mental health, spiritual health, anything. But like Daniela says, start with the physical health. If it's just like going for a walk or walking around your kitchen table at home, something. Stay active, because then by you prolong your life to enjoy it more with people that it's close to you, and also find opportunities that by staying healthy, mentally and physically, you have a chance to contribute to the community around you as well too. So I do want to express all my love to all of you guys and all those who are tuning in. Appreciate you guys for showing support, and yeah, thank you so much, you guys.
No worries. All right. Thank you, Siaosi. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for sharing your story. And yeah, keep working out, man. It keeps me motivated. I watch your videos.
Well,
All right.
by the way, I'm so a little bit about me. This past month, I started a new. I quit my full-time job and did my yate full time. So it's been like I'm out of the loop with the social media. So you probably noticed I haven't been on TikTok and Instagram. I find my life a lot more easier and happier. By the way, no social
Facts.
media. So I like to continue that. You can find me on Facebook at Siaosi Langi. So that's the one thing I keep holding on to is the Facebook, because that's the only way my mom can call me. So cheers.
No worries, no worries. Malo, Siaosi, and Siaosi, just one time, just post that shirtless video, just to let your family know in Tonga you're not skinny. Just one time, just one time. All right. I'll pass it to you, Taniela. Taniela, final thoughts. How do people find you?
Yeah, it's man, I'm just privileged to be amongst a panel of people with a wealth of knowledge that we're able to have this conversation, and to you, Will, for hosting a platform that we're able to have these conversations and be directly challenged or be supported in the way we look at things, especially health, which is a big contributing factor to a lot of our issues, especially as Pacific Islanders here. So just getting the opportunity to be here with Heta and Langi and the other guests has been amazing. And congrats, Langi, for the new journey, new chapter. And I know you'll do great things in that space. I think final thoughts is to anyone sort of listening. One thing for me that has helped me in my journey, and whole lot of other people, is just looking into how dopamine works within the brain and how a vast majority of your habits are from the way that your dopamine has been regulated. So whether that's the food that you consume, content on social media, or any other thing. So when we talk about sugar, drugs, alcohol, food, and all of that stuff, the reason why we're drawn to a certain type of food, because it activates, or a huge surge of dopamine is released when we have those type of things. So when you understand that, then you no longer look at habits as hard to break. You start looking at formulating new ones based on dopamine release. Where can I find the same release, but in this healthier medium? So understanding just the basic fundamental of dopamine releases and how it interacts with your body helps you understand where you need to direct habits and that sort of stuff. And I think even the books that was recommended, I heard a whole heap of good reviews about Atomic Habits, so I might put that in my bookshelf soon. But and thank you to everyone who's been watching.
All right, no worries. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everybody on the live chat. Thank you so much for always tuning in and sharing your feedback and your insights and your thoughts on the topic we discussed. Shout out to the guests for always making the time to be on here and being honest and truthful and sharing their experiences as well. We do this every single Wednesday. We always talk about hot topics, taboos, culture. So if you missed out, definitely tune. If you haven't already, press that like and subscribe button real quick. Definitely post all the social media handles for all the guests on the description below. You guys can follow them and support their platforms as well. And like I said, hey, you guys have a great night, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Malo, peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
Malo,
All right. Bye.